Hi, thank you for coming out. Really appreciate everybody joining in, and thanks for coming out. I just lost my picture. Anyways, um, really appreciate you coming out. We're going to have Josh Johnson here talk in just a second. Josh, are you there, brother? Okay. Well, anyways, we're here for the CalExit meeting. This is our largest mobilized event to date. We've been able to send out 26,000 emails, and we've been able to contact a lot of people. So we have about over 200 people were agreeing to sign up for this, and we're really appreciative for all of you. We're going to be having our media director, Josh Johnson, here talk in just a second.
I'm here. Hi, guys. Sorry for a little delay. Welcome, CalExiters. We are so thrilled to have you in the house tonight. We encourage you, first of all, to go in the comment section on YouTube and maybe just tell us where you're tuning in from, what part of California or beyond that you are tuning in tonight. Tonight is such a crucial, critical point for the CalExit movement, and we're going to be talking about everything in and out and there and above and all beyond everything CalExit tonight. And we've got some really, really beautiful things to share, some things about our newly rebranded CalExit. The first thing we want to say and let you guys know is that we are the real CalExit. Because of the history that we've had of over a decade with our founder, Marcus, and so many other supporters of CalExit, we find that now is the time that we have to revitalize, revise, rebrand CalExit because of the time and the situation that we are in. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. I've got some of our latest branded slogans and graphics that we're going to be sharing. And we want to make tonight this. We want to inform you and equip you and get you involved in what we are doing here. And as you go on through this with us tonight and everything that we're going to be talking about, please put your questions in the comments. We're going to be fielding those throughout the show tonight, and we want to be able to answer those as we go forward in tonight's discussion. So what we're talking about tonight, and we'll get into that a little bit, but there are several facets of CalExit. And if you're a CalExiter, whether you're new or old, you've been listening to those solutions, right? And we know that we're in a very critical time in our nation with the midterms coming up. And we really want to tackle that hot topic, that current event with CalExit, and how CalExit is once again the answer to what is happening with elections historically and how we really can't vote our way out of this. And so we're going to have our experts talking about that. But we wanted to let you guys know that we are so thrilled to have you here tonight, and looking forward to the comments. And please ask the questions, stay involved, and share this with the folks that you think might want to be watching tonight.
That was awesome. Okay, my turn. Could I take? Thank you. Hey, thanks for everybody to come out. This is the real CalExit. My name's Marcus Ruiz Evans. I founded this whole movement in 2012, and I'm with this group. Why? The best people we've been able to put together. We have a guy who's done a lot of media events, a lot of activist events. He's gotten into the Senate. He's ran She Won. He's met a lot of politicians. Also working with another veteran actress. We also have an IT director who's been helping us do a lot of wonderful things online and getting everything revamped. Really appreciate him. Additionally, we have JJ Aches, and he's our new political director, 40 years of Washington, D.C. experience. This is the dream team of CalExit. The other thing that you need to know is that now is the best time to CalExit. Why? Well, the message is obvious. Everyone gets it. You know, I've been doing this since 2012, and we would normally have to explain to people that California is a donor state, and we have a different culture, and that eventually this isn't working out for us financially and with the laws, and we have our gun laws struck down. That's all true. But recently, people have seen writ large how bad it is. Artillery shells were shot over the 5 freeway. Active duty combat trained Marines were sent against the domestic protest. People who were burned alive and their families were denied disaster assistance. None of that's ever happened in U.S. history. And then recently out of Minnesota, we saw multiple American citizens who were murdered. Additionally, you can look at the current chief executive who said he is not bound by the Constitution, but his own sense of morality only. I'd also point out that the Supreme Court, which is supposed to be the legal backwall to keep everything stable, is the most conservative they've been in 100 years. You'd have to go back to 1923 to find a Supreme Court that's this conservative. Hence, that's why Roe v. Wade gets overturned. So the issues of why you need to CalExit, you're not safe. Your civil rights are not protected. Your body's not protected. Your rights are not protected. You're still a donor state. And every time we look, more money is being cut to our state while we're a donor state. So we don't like to celebrate misery, but this is the best time for CalExit because everybody sees it. Everybody sees that your civil rights are under threat. Your basic rights are under threat. The America that you know is gone. You cannot rely upon the next election. Like Josh says, we're not going to vote our way out of this. I like to bring up how Governor Newsom said there may not be a midterm. Sitting governor said that. That hasn't happened in U.S. history. So you're seeing the system break down. You're seeing the system's not working. You're seeing the safeguards not operate, and everybody sees that. That's partly why it's the best time. The other reason is we've figured out how to make CalExit happen in 3 to 5 months, period. You need to think about that. I've been at this since 2012. Our plan was always collect ballot initiatives, which takes 5 to 6 to 8 months, and then another 6 to 8 months to count them. And then eventually there'd be an election about 1.5 years down the road. That's about a 14-month process. With our new political director, with 4 decades experience in Washington, D.C., we figured out a way to achieve CalExit in 3 to 5 months. That's not a joke. We've figured it out. We've dialed it in. You're going to hear about that soon. The other best reason why this is the best time to CalExit, new poll just came out showing the highest level of support for CalExit ever. 51% of Californians are not opposed to discussing independence. There's a YouGov poll that came out last week. It asked people, are you for this? Are you not for it? Or do you not know? 51% of all Californians said they're not sure how they feel about independence or they're for it. Less than half of our population said they're opposed to independence. I've been doing this since 2012. The best numbers we had were from 2017 when it was about 47% were not opposed to CalExit. Now we have over half. We've achieved the highest amount of support for CalExit ever by reputable polling. We have the best exemplification as to why we need to get out. Civil rights, security, your very life, order, chaos, sanity. And we have the best, fastest possible way to achieve CalExit. You're going to hear a lot about other things going on, but a couple things. We're going to the California Democratic Party convention this weekend. We also have a Sacramento commercial with a TV quality studio team put up. We've also been talking to governor candidates, state senators, attorney general candidates. We have a new website coming out. Emailed 26,000 people, and we have a couple super volunteers who you're going to see their testimony tonight. And we have about 150 people who have agreed to receive the lobbying instructions to contact, email, or call our identified list of 22 key politicians to back our resolution, which is how we make CalExit happen in 3 to 5 months. I'll leave it there. I'm going to show you a clip, and then we're going to go back to Josh. So please watch this clip, and in 1 minute, we'll be back to Josh. That was hot. You're really good at this. You're really good at this.
Hey, I don't know if there are any like lively, true at heart Californians watching tonight, but like we wanted to do this launch, this rebrand to get attention because we believe that we're out of options. We're out of solutions. Yes, the protests, yes, the signs, yes, everything that we have been doing, but you all, what difference, what is really, what is changing? What I had to tell myself, and it's hard not to kind of put how we all got here. And I really want to share those things with you as other people will tonight of how they got into this headquarters room. But what put me here is that I realized that, all the things that were coming into California, the feds with ICE and how they're trying to manipulate elections and how they're trying to not fund fund us federally, like all that stuff that I had to come to the real, come to Jesus, come to Democracy Jesus meeting with myself and my family is that because they are not going to leave us, we've got to leave them. And I know that's a big statement. I know that's like, oh, but we can. And oh, is this legal? And all these, we'll answer those questions tonight. And really, it's an equivocal yes across the board for those. It's just that we have never been in a place like this before. And I'm reminded of what happened with Nuremberg. And Nuremberg was this, right? It was what had to happen because the tragedy, the abomination, the horror, the genocide against humanity had never happened like that before. And so we, as the human race, as the population of the planet, had to do new things, had to make new rules so this would not happen again. It's not the very same thing, but it's the same sentiment. It's the same level of desperation that we have got to make new rules. And California is a new rule maker, right? We are always first, not only in the country, but also the world. As we go, as California goes, as California leads, the country, the world follows. If you're a Californian, you know all that stuff. Yes, we've got our issues. Yes, but when it comes down to it, we are the leaders. We are always the winners. And it's not an exclusive thing. What CalExit is actually the most inclusive thing that we can do as Californians. And I'll tie it up with this, is that, when you're riding on the airplane and whether we listen to it or not, it's kind of been drilled into our heads every time, is that person comes over the speaker and says, in the event of an emergency, put your oxygen mask on first so you can make it to help the person beside you. That's what CalExit is. It is not just specifically California and Californians. It is for the rest of the greater good of not only our nation, but the world, because we are the leaders and we can save this. We know we can do that. We have everything within our grasp, within not years, but days and weeks to make this happen. So I just encourage you to think about what it means to be a Californian. And if you're on this call, even if you're not a Californian, this applies to you too. It is not a mistake that you are here tonight, because as we are the first, we can be the template, we can be the motivator, we can be the inspiration behind what other states are doing that they maybe thought that they could not do before California said so.
All right, let's go to another clip here. I want you to see some of our top volunteers who've answered the call that Josh is talking about. It's real simple. Our political director, who you're going to meet very soon, has outlined 22 politicians out of 120 that are most likely to say yes. He's already made the email script and he's already made the call script. We're going to introduce you to Katie and Rick, who've emailed and called all 22. They've done what they could do. They've done their part for California. Super easy. Check it out.
Hi, I'm Katie. I was asked to share my experience real quick about what it's been like supporting the CalExit effort as far as making the phone calls and emails to different legislators, and also why it's so important to me that we pursue CalExit. So I have been so interested in CalExit ever since I realized it was a thing. And I really appreciate all the information and clarification and also statistics and interviews and information that the group has shared with us as far as how possible this actually is. And that's why I've been willing to spend precious time making the calls and emails for this effort, which has been super easy. It's literally just a copy and paste and schedule. As I've learned actually through my business over the years, it's often not good to send too many emails at once, so I spread them out, otherwise it might look like spam. So I spread them out over like 2 or 3 days and schedule those and then just make phone calls. Everyone's super friendly, helpful, they just take down your information. I believe that the purpose of doing that is to really get more eyes and more attention and more effort from our legislators on these issues and topics for CalExit. And so it's important for so many more of us to speak up about this. Not because we know we're going to do this, but because we're interested in pursuing how to do it legally. My experience of making the calls and emails has been super easy, really a breeze, because the team gives you everything you need to succeed there. It's so important to me to pursue this because I want to live in a country that respects people, that has a sense of humanity, a basic foundation of treating people with respect and empathy. And I believe that many Californians embody this, and this state represents that to me. In fact, I moved here several years ago because I just knew I loved it here. I felt and sensed a really good vibe. And there's many places around the United States that are like that, but I think California especially embodies that vibe. Unfortunately, the rest of the country doesn't always see things that way. I think that the contrast is becoming overwhelmingly clear as far as what our goals are versus the goals of maybe many other states in the country, and it's time to move on. So that's my position. I believe that the team has made it very clear how possible this is with the right effort and the right team and the right actions. And so I'm here to take direction and looking forward to the kind of ripples we create with this work together. So good luck with the calls and emails if you make them. And yeah, rock on. Thanks.
Saludos desde San Diego. Me llamo Rick, or Rich, como quieres. I'm a volunteer with CalExit. And why am I a volunteer for CalExit? I volunteer because I believe in independence for the state of California. There are many reasons for that. Some of the most important are misuse of our hard-earned tax dollars being used for things that don't line up with California values. So that's one of the main reasons. As far as independence, we are the 5th or 6th largest economy in the world. So that's a lot of countries that are smaller than us. So if those smaller places can do it, why can't we? We definitely can get it done. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking about, if you support independence for California, then do some volunteering. It's really easy. The email messages are super easy. So yeah, I encourage you to get involved for independence. Viva todos Californias.
Hello, everybody. I'm Rachel Fiore, and I'm actually president of coalitionofoneness.org. We have a very similar mission. In one of our goals is exactly the same, which is trying to shift California out into its own sovereign nation. When I came across CalExit and I realized they had been in this game for a very long time with the same goal, I immediately reached out and wanted to team up. And that's because there is no other way. We have to see the actual truth in what we are witnessing in real time right now in this country. And it is abhorrent. It is sadistic. It is the worst of the worst. And I don't have to say what it is because you're seeing it in real time. There is no hoping that elections will change things. There's no continuing to function in a system that creates the type of country that we are seeing, the type of treatment, the murder, the attacking, the tyranny. We have no more rights. They've all been taken away. It's like they never existed to begin with. And with everything that is going on right now, it is slave mentality that we have to wake up and wake out of. If we think that we can hope and wish and pray or vote that this is going to change what we are actually seeing. So we need to take a stand. We need to be the ones to change. You don't hope your oppressors and the violent aggressors are going to stop being violent. Your abusers are going to stop abusing you. That's not what you hope for. That's ignorance. That's not divine power. We need to step up and activate our divine power and say, we unite together, enough is enough. And that first step, it's a big one, but we can do it. That's for California to become a republic of oneness, to unite together and say enough of the tyranny, enough of the violence, enough of the abuse, enough of the oppression, enough of the murdering, enough of the rape. You don't hope and pray that's going to change. That's insanity. We have to be the ones to change and put an end to it all. So we move forward, we unite together, we rise up in oneness, and we take action to separate from the sadistic psychopaths that are running the country currently. And we say enough is enough. We focus on ourselves, we heal, we elevate, we forge a new way. And when we forge a new way and heal and elevate together, that is how we can invite other people in to do the same or to follow our lead. You can't have the whole world do it at the same time, but you have to be the change in order to show people there is a new way. We just have to have the willingness and put the effort forth to do that. So every person can take action, and every single one of you can. We just need to actually follow through and do what we need to do together in order to make this happen. This isn't some radical extreme. This is what it means to no longer accept, to have a zero tolerance policy for oppression and violence and abuse. We can forge a new way, but we have to band together and do it in oneness. So rise up, contact your legislators, go to our websites, do absolutely everything you can, make it happen. We are the ones that have the power. Remember that. We are the ones that have the power. If we didn't, they wouldn't have to be violent towards us. Let's do it. We can get it done.
Great. I guess I'm next. Hello, everyone. I'm Danny Morley. I've been actually learning from Rachel Fiore right here for quite a while, for a few years. And, I'm a board member on the Coalition of Oneness. And, I remember when CalExit first came and she brought this to us, and I was like, oh, wow, this seems like a great move. This seems like something that we should do. We all should do. And then with everything that's going off in the world, it definitely, you look at the world and it brought up a certain level of fear. Like, oh my God, look at the world. Look how scary it is. What if we do separate? What's going on right now? And I want to express, like, I've actually done what CalExit have set out to do. Actually went out, I've emailed, I've been calling, I've been doing what they have led us to do or laid out. And if it wasn't for Rachel, I wouldn't be here. And what I want in the world, what I want in this country is to be free and to be safe. And if we don't actually take action, just like CalExit are showing us how to do, contact the legislators. If we don't take action, that's never going to happen. But what blocks us from taking action? And that's the fear that is literally being created by this tyrannical government. And I experienced that firsthand. And if it wasn't from learning from Rachel and how to actually heal and elevate, that fear would have gotten the better of me. I wouldn't be on this call today, saying, let's go CalExit. I would probably be playing small and still wanting to hide and run away from the truth. And the truth is we need to separate. And that is the only way that we're going to live in a safe and free nation. And so if there's anyone out here, on this call that's like, wow, this sounds great, but I'm kind of afraid to, I'm originally from the UK. All this fear gets created. I'm like, what if I reach out? What if I'm the target? Well, the world we live in, like, it's a scary thing what's happening. But if we sit back and do nothing and give in to the fear, then we're becoming part of the problem. So we can actually just alchemize the fear, heal it. That's why you learn from Rachel. That's what she will teach you how to do. And we can take action and actually do this. All you have to do is follow what the incredible beings here at CalExit have laid out for us, so we can actually live in what would be a safe and free world.
Thank you all so much. And that's a perfect segue to what I have to say. And that is just to reiterate volunteering and how important it is. And as you've heard over and over tonight, we've made it really easy for you. JJ's identified 11 assembly members and 11 senators. We've identified what is about them that we think will make them lean towards the CalExit strategy. We've listed out the script, provided bios and information. We've basically done it all for you. But I'm going to add one other wrinkle on this. Despite the emailing and calling directly, one thing I'm finding that's working is going to the site and actually requesting a meeting through the site. That has been what I found the fastest. So I would add that to the list of things to do. All that needs to be done is, but we really need your help. We need people. It will have more information about the volunteering that we have available. The primary right now is getting communication. Every time they get a communication, they're realizing more and more that people really are serious, that people get this, that people understand. So we have hardcore CalExiters who've been working with us. They've all identified themselves tonight, but we need more. So please, sign up, go to calexit.now or email us at volunteer@calexit.now, and we'll get you the script, we'll get you the info you need. Thank you all for being here, and I'll be speaking to you about other topics soon.
We don't need votes. I tell my people, I don't need any votes. We got all the votes we need. I don't need votes. We don't need votes. We got more votes than anybody's ever had. You don't have to vote. Don't worry about voting. The voting, we got plenty of votes. And then he journeyed to Pennsylvania, where he spent like a month and a half campaigning for me in Pennsylvania. And he's a popular guy, and he was very effective. And he knows those computers better than anybody, all those computers, those vote counting computers. And we ended up winning Pennsylvania like in a landslide, so it was pretty good. It was pretty good. So thank you to Elon.
Hearing criticism now from Elon Musk on social media, just responding to the president's event in the Oval Office a short time ago. Elon Musk posting on X, his social media platform, "Without me, Trump would have lost the election. Dems would control the House and the Republicans would be 51-49 in the Senate." He goes on to post two words, "such ingratitude."
It was so sad because I said, can you imagine, I'm not going to be president. And that's too bad. And then what happened is they rigged the election and I became president. So that was a good thing. That was a good thing. That was quite an achievement for both of us. So
well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started.
And again, Christians, get out and vote just this time. You won't have to do it anymore. 4 more years, you know what? It'll be fixed, it'll be fine. You won't have to vote anymore, my beautiful Christians. I love you, Christians. I'm a Christian. I love you. Get out. You gotta get out and vote. In 4 years, you don't have to vote again. We'll have it fixed so good you're not gonna have to vote.
If we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included.
Had I not had a rigged election, had the election not been rigged, I would have been out of here. I would have been gone. The radical left would have said, we got rid of him finally.
Disclaimer, PSA, not AI. That's the real thing. I think that reminders like that just kind of set us back, right? Just thinking, just the history. He was saying that before, during, and after 2024 November, all of that leading up to where we are now. And as you guys have probably noticed in the mainstream media, it is seeping in. Like our independent journalists, please salute and support those indie journalists because they are doing the hard, real work. Folks like Don Lemon, Joy Reid, those people that we pay attention to. But now the mainstream, MS Now, and all the above and beyond and beneath, they are forced now. They're having to say something about it because they are tripling and quadrupling down on the elections that are coming just a few months from now, just the midterms, and that those words, they are the rigging, the stealing, all of that is already in the ether and part of their plan for so long has gotten us to this point. So what do we do? It is my strong belief, and again, a primary reason that I am a newly, I guess, recruited and big cheerleader and advocate for CalExit is that I do not believe that we can vote our way out of this, you all. Call it authoritarian rule, call it fascism, whatever. But with fascists, elections, rules aren't really their gig, not really their thing. I mean, it'll be performative like we see in so many other dictatorial countries with dictators as leaders, but it may happen or not. But if it does happen, are the results honored? Do we honestly think, you all, that of all the things that they have been charged against them, that they're just going to walk out and leave like, oh, fair and square, here you go, here's the gavel? No, and I personally, and so many people in my circle of influence and people on this call, I'm sure, and people in our headquarters are just like, what are we not listening to? What are we not hearing here? And so it is now seeping into the mainstream because it's unavoidable. What are we going to do about elections? And one of the, I don't know if you can see it, I brought it out. We've done some printing here with our new newly branded slogans and graphics, and all of those will be available to you guys. We want you to share it, and we'll share some information about that a little later tonight. But like, if you could see this, like we printed this. It's one of the images here of sorry, you can't see it all, but like, obviously the symbolism of that, and that we cannot vote our way out of this. Sorry, I think it may be backwards for you to read, but like, that's part of our message. It's democracy pretty much equals elections, right? You can't have democracy without those things. We the people, for the by the people, all of that stuff. So it becomes more obvious when you just talk about it out loud over between any kind of exchange, whether it's somebody at work or someone you're really close to, is that it is becoming more and more evident, undeniably so, that our elections are just not going to be the solution. And that is hard to say. It may sound un-American, it may sound hopeless, but we here at CalExit just believe that, knowing that, seeing all the proof, I mean, from the dictator's mouth and all of his minions, all the people that are saying we're going to fix this, we're not going to leave. You're not going to make us leave. Therefore, CalExit, California, has to leave, has to depart, has to make our way out. And so that's what we're branding all of our messaging. It's like, if there's no, it may be kind of sound cute rolling off the tongue, but there is no doubt about what we are saying here. We know that it is time to GTFO, to get out of here, as California being the leaders here, again, the winners, just the folks that the world looks up to and waits for the answer for. We have the answer, and that answer is CalExit. So as we move on here, I just want to, we're going to get into our discussion. Again, it's about elections. And as we have launched our series of newly branded CalExit each week, our live streams, we want to pick a topic that is current, that we're going to say, well, yes, everyone's worried, hair's on fire all across the nation from our electeds and all of those kinds of things. But we want to be real and say, this is the solution. CalExit has the answers, plural. it touches on everything. And the answer that it can provide are quick and expedient answers in the scheme of things. Like, this is not years and decades from now. I mean, it's a short-term, doable, achievable goal. So as we move on, I wanted to share a couple of other clips before we bring our expert on, of just showing where now the mainstream media is and how this is unavoidable, and that CalExit is really the only solution.
The midterm elections are 9 months away, and it's become very clear that Trump is going to do anything he can to tip the scales. Trump has called for Republicans to nationalize voting and take over in about 15 states. In the House, Speaker Mike Johnson is pushing something called the SAVE Act, which would require a passport or a birth certificate when you register to vote to make it as difficult as possible for people to vote. And the greasiest, sloppiest magateer of all of them, Steve Bannon, is now openly calling for armed ICE agents outside the polls on Election Day.
If Donald Trump oversees the upcoming midterms this year, he may be able to rig the upcoming midterms this year. That's the Democrat nightmare scenario, after hearing Trump say this in the Oval Office.
Mr. President, as you're taking our questions, what exactly did you mean when you said that you should nationalize elections, and which 15 states are you talking about?
I want to see elections be honest, and if a state can't run an election, I think the people behind me should do something about it.
This has been Trump's big gripe since forever, that he only lost the 2020 election because Joe Biden cheated to win. So he wants more control over the next one so that he can run them fairly.
I don't know why the federal government doesn't do them anyway. If they can't count the votes legally and honestly, then somebody else should take over.
When Trump last had this thought,
these people were brought to our country to vote, and they vote illegally. We should take over the voting in at least 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
the left and legal experts, honestly, were quick to point out that this, at face value, a takeover, would go against hundreds of years of American history because the Constitution forbids this kind of power grab. It's very clear. The times, places, and manner of holding elections shall be up to state legislatures. That's a bedrock check on federal power that Trump seems to want to do away with, except Trump's press secretary has tried to turn some of that temperature down.
What does President Trump mean when he says Republicans ought to nationalize voting? What does that look like in practice?
What the president was referring to is the SAVE Act, which is a huge common sense piece of legislation.
Now, without getting too weedy here, what she says Trump was talking about is this very specific legislation that requires people to prove that they're U.S. citizens before they vote. Is that really what Trump was saying, though? When Trump talks about a federal takeover of elections, nationalizing them, and specifically in states where he suspects the system has badly cheated him, does it sound like he's talking about the SAVE Act? I'm not in Trump's head, but I'm just explaining why Trump's comments have raised an alarm, especially on the left. And it surely doesn't ease their concerns when they have such a hard time getting a straight answer to the question. What does Trump mean?
To be clear, he does believe the state should oversee it.
The president believes in the United States Constitution. However, he believes there has obviously been a lot of fraud and irregularities that have taken place in American elections. And again, voter ID is a highly popular and common sense policy that the president wants to pursue.
So the hardest question of all, who to believe, Trump or his team?
So we're here in Georgia ahead of President Trump's visit today, but there are deep concerns that some of his Georgia allies are holding a state election board meeting at the exact same time and could try to take over Fulton County's elections this November.
Let's address those issues so that we have free and fair elections in Georgia, because right now we do not. And that's what we need.
This is just 3 weeks after that FBI search, and this could all be a massive deal. Senator Jon Ossoff, he's on the ballot running for re-election, and Fulton includes Atlanta, the state's most populous and diverse county. That member, Sally Grubbs, is one of 3 Trump supporters that hold the majority on the Georgia State Election Board. They could then appoint their own chosen administrator who could potentially alter early voting rules, drop box locations, or voter registration efforts even. Of course, Trump has said he wants federal takeover of some local elections like Fulton County.
We should take over the voting in at least many, 15 places. The Republicans ought to nationalize the voting.
Doing that, though, would be legally difficult to justify, but his allies at the state level could help his efforts. I asked Grubbs if they're going to try to justify taking away election power from Fulton County, which Trump has accused of fraudulently stealing the 2020 election from him.
You know, we have a lot of evidence and things like that we need to look at, and I think that remains to be seen.
At this meeting, they already subpoenaed Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. He's the one who Trump said this to before January 6th.
I just want to find 11,780 votes.
To note, not all Trump supporters believe that elections here in Georgia are not secure.
I think overall, security is okay. There may have been some small isolated cases, but overall, I feel like integrity in Georgia, at least, has been pretty well preserved.
Just how far Trump will go to wrestle control of elections away from local officials will be closely watched here ahead.
All of those clips that you saw have been from just the last 10 days on mainstream media, sites that we all watch, like NBC, CBS, MSNBC, MSN Now. It's startling. Like the frog in the boiling pot before he knows that it's boiling. Some of you have some questions, and we're going to get you some answers. I'm going to introduce you now to J.J. Ames. J.J. Ames is going to come on here, and he's going to explain the big ticket items we've alluded to. Some of you have said, what is this plan where you can achieve CalExit in 3 to 5 months? How is this legal? How is this constitutional? J.J. is going to walk you through a plan where he's figured out how to achieve CalExit in 3 to 5 months using the legislative process. He's already built the email scripts, call scripts, and everything you need to know. He's going to tell you what the big plan is and how it's possible. JJ.
Thanks, Marcus. Thank you, Marcus, very much. Appreciate that. First of all, you had alluded earlier to the Supreme Court being the most conservative Supreme Court in 100 years. Well, the Supreme Court, we do have one thing to thank for, and that is for CalExit. Because in a case called Texas versus White from 1868, the Supreme Court, first of all, told us that unilateral secession from the United States, unconstitutional. But then the court went on to say that there is a pathway to withdrawal. And the pathway to withdrawal is to receive the consent of state delegations in the Congress. So in this particular case, that means that a negotiating committee from California would transport itself to Washington and begin lobbying state congressional delegations and in the hope of securing a simple majority, 26. This plan begins in Sacramento at the California legislature, where we get California legislators to first sponsor a resolution allowing the state legislature to explore all lawful and peaceful means of withdrawal and separation. That's followed up immediately by a bill introduced in the Cal legislature to support the appointment of a blue ribbon commission by the governor. The blue ribbon commission meets for a limited period of time, does all of its research work, comes back and issues a report to the governor on all lawful and peaceful means of withdrawal from the United States. And then the governor makes a decision. And that decision is, we hope, let's go to Washington and see what we need to do to get ourselves out of the United States. The resolution is lawful. It is legal. It's already been filed, by the way, in the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire seeking to withdraw from the United States already. So even the leaders that we are, and being the fourth largest economy in the world, not the fifth or sixth, it is time. It's time for us to move forward with this plan, and we could absolutely have a negotiating team in Washington lobbying state congressional delegations before the midterms. Because once the midterms happen, all bets are off. You've already heard talk about Justice Alito retiring. Friends of mine in Washington tell me that will happen before the midterms because now the Republicans are not confident that they'll maintain the Senate after midterms. That would be followed up by a Thomas resignation or retirement, another Trump appointment to the Supreme Court. So by the time the midterms are over, if there are midterms, we would end up with the majority of the Supreme Court having been appointed by Donald Trump And at the ages of all of these people appointed by Trump, you'd be looking at a Donald Trump Supreme Court for the next 4 decades, at least. 10 years ago, when Marcus started this plan, it couldn't happen. 10 years from now, it'll be too late. Now is the time, and we are the people. And it can be done. It is legal, and we can do it right now. So please, take the scripts, make the calls, send the emails, click the volunteer button, click the donate button. We're on board now with some great politicians, some great Californians, I should say, and we look forward to moving this forward as rapidly as possible, and we need as much help as we can get from all of you. Thank you very much.
You're muted, Josh. You're open.
All right, good. Thanks so much, JJ. Before we let you go, because you're the man, you're the guy with the receipts, the policy, the experience, the 40 years in Washington. So because we were talking about basically the non-viability or hope in elections, just on a very surface level, because we can go on and on about this, why CalExit is the way out. But like just for the very reason of election integrity and one person, one vote, like my friend Rachel always talks about, and just the freeness, I don't think there's a word, and fairness of elections. What does CalExit do on the day after we separate? What happens with that, with elections? JJ, you're muted. Here we go.
You're open. You're open now.
When California becomes a sovereign nation, on day one, the lives of every Californian change. First of all, on day one, you're talking about universal health care for every Californian. You're talking about free and fair elections in every instance. You're talking about governmental accountability at all levels. You're talking about $400 billion a year staying in California, not building roads and bridges in Mississippi, not keeping the water clean in West Virginia, but bettering the lives of all Californians who have worked so hard and put up with so much. Congressman Swalwell said at the last gubernatorial debate that he attended, he referred to California as the greatest country in the world. And we are the greatest country in the world. A sovereign California will be everything that the founding fathers of the United States promised that it would be and never achieved. We're in a situation now where we have the opportunity to manifest our own destiny, to become what we always thought we could be, but were never able to achieve. We'll finally have a government that lifts us up and treats us equally. And life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness will mean something, not just for the 1%, but for all people. And freedom and justice, liberty and justice, all men created equal, all people created equal. We lost Roe v. Wade. We're in danger of losing Obergefell. And we're in danger of losing interracial marriage. We're in danger of losing everything that our ancestors in the protest movement fought for a century. And we stand at this point in time with two choices. One is to allow it to happen, and the other is to do something about it. I invite you to join us.
I just want to point out that it is fully legal. I understand that we took a little bit of time to get to the plan, but basically there's a Supreme Court case called Texas versus White, and it says you can leave with consent of the states. That's it. Most people don't know about that. We've told that to 60 reporters. Only CBS San Francisco would print that. The other thing is that the top constitutional scholar in California is called Erwin Chemerinsky. He is the top constitutional scholar. And this is something JJ constantly points out. Chemerinsky said a simple majority vote of Congress is enough to leave. The news will not print that there's a Supreme Court case saying with consent, and they will not print that there's the top constitutional scholar in all of America, most cited legal jurist ever, dean of 2 law schools, referred to as a legal god, who said, 51% of Congress votes, you're out. You do not need the amendment process. There's nothing backing that up. And why do we think we can get the votes? Some of you have been asking that questions. Last year, LA Times survey, 48% of all Republicans view everyone on this phone call as not American. That's not my words. The phrase was literally not American. Half of all Republicans view everyone here as not American. You can literally type in LA Times survey views half of Republicans across America view everyone here as not a fellow American. That LA Times was so exasperated they had to do an editorial. That same survey showed that 67% of all Republicans said California was nothing but a net negative. That means we do nothing good and contribute nothing, not even being a donor state. So half of them don't even view us as fellow Americans, and about 70% of them think we literally do nothing good at all. And this is in 2012, they did the same survey, and it was also 67% said we're nothing but negative. So in a decade, nothing has changed. 2/3 of the Republican Party view us as no contributor. We do nothing good at all, not jobs, not donations, nothing. Half of them think we're not even fellow Americans. And this is the key thing for all of you. What Republicans were complaining when there was people burned alive and Donald Trump said, I'm not going to give disaster assistance. What Republicans were complaining when they shot artillery shells over the 5 freeway that could got 30 people killed. What Republicans were complaining when they sent active duty combat trained Marines in on a domestic protest. For a fact, they have never sent Marines on a domestic protest. They have never denied disaster assistance, and they've never shot artillery shells over a freeway ever in U.S. history. We've also never had a sitting governor of California say there may not be elections in the future. That has never happened in 200 years. We've also never had a January 6th insurrection. That's never happened in 200 years. And so you're seeing these murder, kill, hate, I don't like you, things you have never seen in 200 years. And half of all the people backing that don't feel you're a fellow American. That's why it's okay to deny you disaster assistance, to send combat troops against you, to threaten to arrest your governor, to intimidate you like you're a foreign enemy, because they don't see you as fellow Americans. Last statistic, and I'll shut up. 51% of you last week said you're open to independence. 51% of you, YouGov survey last week said you're open to independence. That is a majority. Less than half of Californians, for the first time ever since 2012, I've been doing this longer than anybody, they have never gone over half. For the first time in a decade, you have over half Californians guaranteed YouGov saying, we're ready to go out, we're ready to talk about this. And then you have under half or just at half of Republicans hate your guts, don't view you as a fellow American, type it in, LA Times, you're not American. And 2/3 of them think that you do nothing good. You're not a donor state, you don't provide jobs, you do nothing but suck and drain them. So if you know it's legal and you know they hate us, and you know they're doing everything to treat us as not fellow Americans, and you know over half of us would back this, what the hell's in the way?
Yeah, Mark, and I'm reminded too of just the kind of, I think it's almost like a commercial or like a prequel to CalExit is what happened with Prop 50, right? I mean, we decided next in a few weeks we're gonna help the nation here. We're going to change history here. It's never been done before here, and we did it. And overwhelmingly, Californians said, "Yeah, we are not going to allow this cheat." This theft. I mean, more of the fraud, more of the usual, right? And so I don't see how CalExit on the bigger scale is any different from that. In fact, it's just the 2.0 or 5.0 or 10.0 of that, the 10x of that, to use some corporate lingo. But that's a recent proof that California has in its on its resume that what we did with Prop 50 has to do with voting and elections, all that kind of thing. So that's what we wanted to talk about tonight. Thank you so much, Marcus, for laying out all of the statistics. And like I was going to say, but also tell them about what Californians are saying, like us on this call, that the yes is overwhelming. And that's just polls. I mean, like, just talk to some folks around in your circles, you guys, and you'll find that, like, well, they don't consider it. Maybe, but then when you start to talk about it, they're like, like this can happen like now. And it's just having the conversation, making it real. CalExit is now, and CalExit is real. Rachel.
A lot of people tonight in the comments were talking about doing it in person. Well, there is a great opportunity now for you to do it in person, because it just so happens that the California Dem Convention is this weekend, and it's at Moscone Center in San Francisco. So we will be there. Josh, Marcus, and I will be there. And we may or may not be, we should be getting our credentials soon. But one thing that you can do, anyone who's in the Bay Area or a little north or south can actually register by going to the California caucus sign up page. And I'll have Marcus put that up. And there, what you'll see is you can waive your dues to join one of the many caucuses, and then you will get entrance into the event. That will allow you, thank you, Marcus, that will allow you to actually be in the hallways and talk to some of the 22 legislators that we've been talking about, run into other people like Eric Swalwell and gubernatorial candidates. I'm sure Gavin Newsom will be there. So an opportunity to walk past them and ask them what they think, ask them what they know, and give them that elevator speech and say, hey, look, what else are we going to do? The elections are not going to be real. They're not going to be real because they've already been rigged. And that's a whole other story that Josh and I can tell you about another time, or if you come meet us in San Francisco. But please do consider coming. You can do everything in person, and you don't even have to go through the process of having the legislative assistant decide, hey, am I going to let them speak to them? No, you'll go right up to Senator Scott Wiener. You go right up to Assemblywoman Buffy Wicks and ask them what their position is and explain to them how important it is. All we need is one senator and one assembly member to propose the resolution, which JJ's drafted, by the way, and that will start the process. Once we implement this process, we could be at the Blue Ribbon Commission within a month, and that will get us rolling. So please consider coming, reach out to us, send an email to the volunteer at calexit.now. Let us know if you're interested in coming, and we'll connect with you, and we'll get this going. Josh is a master at signs and t-shirts and stickers, so we'll have all that for you. So please do join us.
Yes, thank you, Rachel. Yes, we are going to be there in person because real life on the ground action, as you know, as we know in the protests that we have been, so many of us have been on especially the last year. It seems like we've been doing it so much more, but it's really been 10 years of it, you guys. And being there, there's nothing that replaces proximity. There's nothing that replaces realness and in-person interaction where there's feeling and emotion and the communication that you can't get through this medium. I mean, COVID basically ruined all of us. We called it in and we phoned it in because we had to. We can't do that now. If we can show up, even 20 people, you all with some, and if you can see my sticker right on, it's what we printed just this week, and it's our California, it's time to GTFO, and we were at the Bernie Sanders event here yesterday and in LA, and we handed some out there. It's about exposure and about that this is again a real now initiative, campaign, political movement. And so we'll have, if you come and show up and with us this weekend, we know it's short notice, but like this is part of the solution. This is part of the plan, and we will equip you with talking points. We will equip you with signs. Look, we are stocking up on all of the necessary materials to make this loud and visible and now. So the other, what we discussed shortly before the call is what we'll be sending out an email just to follow up to this, and also giving you the details about the California Democratic Convention in the Bay Area and in San Francisco. And I'm coming from LA. And we're just encouraging anyone who is near or around or wants to get there and wants to make a road trip. It'll be well worth it, especially on Saturday, to come and show up, even if it's in the hallways, lobbying CalExit or lobbying our representatives about the real CalExit now and how we can we can push this. We talk about all the time in our headquarters room, you all, like we're almost there. It's almost like just one more push, just one more move, and we can push this to the floor of the state legislature. And then it is only downhill from there. It starts to happen. Things start to happen very quickly, and it will be even more undeniable. So stay tuned for that follow-up email. Probably arrive later tonight or in the morning with details about showing up in San Francisco at the California Democratic Convention, or CADEM, and feel free to check it out. If you've got inroads to coalitions and caucuses you could get in yourself and you didn't think about it, do it. We will equip you. We may have some t-shirts there as well, but we want to not only inform you tonight, but equip you. And I think we have Brad.
Oh, hello, everyone. I'm CalExit's IT director, and I've kind of been running the show tonight, clicking buttons here behind the scenes to make sure you guys see all the speakers. Forgive me, I'm mostly an IT guy, at heart. But what we've done is updated the website and allowed it to added some donation buttons. Yep, so there's the website. If you go to calexit.now, we have a link directly to our GoFundMe, which is live right now, and you can submit donations that way right now. We really need it to fund stuff like this live stream we're doing, the website itself. So all of it, those signs that Josh showed you, so all of that is where any donations would go. And also we really, the best way to get in touch with us is to fill out that form on the website, the sign up form, that has just your first name, last name, email address, and the city you're in. Once you submit that, you'll get on our mailing list, and that is the best way to stay in touch with us. So this is just the first draft of our new website, and follow us on our socials on Instagram and TikTok for more updates. So thanks. Back to you, Josh.
Thank you. So yes, we are on freshly branded social accounts, Instagram and TikTok. It is under this CalExit Official. There's, again, we mentioned at the beginning, CalExit's been around a long time, and there've been separate initiatives and groups that have supported it and platformed it. We are very grateful for that, and we want to be in coalition with those people. But because we are the owners, we are the people with the infrastructure, the policy, the history, the experts, the receipts, and the plan, we want to be sure that we are that people are looking to us, going to calexit.now. CalExit.now. There's no, that's just very simple. We simplified it to make it easier to find and easier to type. CalExit.now. CalExit Now. It says everything in the title. And so we really beseech your support. Go and follow us there. We'll have those icons probably up on our website. You saw the donate button. We'll talk about that in just a second. But Rachel, I think you had one other thing to bring up.
Yes, and actually it's kind of a good segue into our Q&A. I wanted to highlight one thing. I did notice a comment about that we can't trust the Dems either, and we agree with that. But we're talking about the Dems at the federal level who had opportunities to stop the insurrectionist pedophile jerk. That's how I refer to him. That's one way. But they did nothing. They had every opportunity. We're talking about the Dems at the state level, and very specific Dems. And one thing that we need to keep in mind is that the Dems at the state level are tied to the federal level. right? They are pushed and they're given marching orders and they are told what to do, and we'll get funding based on that. If we separate, we get independent. If we are our own sovereign nation, and both Marcus and JJ can speak more to this, we won't have that pressure anymore. We will be able, our legislative body will be able to take care of us and not be worried about what's happening at the federal level. So that is my additional point, and that hopefully that addresses the question I saw from Pretty Epic Man. So I think we should get started on the Q&A in the interest of everyone's time.
Before we jump into that, one other thing that is very important. The goal for tonight's call is very clear and specific. We need people. We need you. We need people inside the room, inside the headquarters. We need people like us, all kinds of skill levels, social media, people that are writers and great, folks that can even speak to outside and to other people about information. People that like to come up and maybe be a little more friendly with their elected reps than usual. All skill sets, all levels of involvement is what we need. So wanted to put this back up on the screen really quickly. Was just where to sign up. There's a button there on our website, and it is right. Let me see if I can find that. Yes, but with just to sign up for volunteers. We will do 98% of the work for you. We will have your toolkit. We will equip you. We just need to know that you're on board or re-upping and want to be involved in this crucial final step of the first phase. And this is going to move fast. So we will equip you not only with what's happening this weekend, if you want to be involved with that, but also the just signing up as a volunteer so we can get a team, more of an army together, because we need several people in every department, if that makes sense. And if you've done anything on a grassroots level, you know what we're talking about. So before we get to question and answer, the other part of tonight is that we want to say that we are becoming a 501c4. In the interim, we still have to raise funds. And to do that, we have set up a GoFundMe to help us cover these, what really are startup costs, meaning things like what we printed, getting traveling and for folks coming out of town to San Francisco, all of the things that surround a business or a startup cost. That's what we're hoping to get started with this GoFundMe. If you want to be involved and you can't show up and you're like, hey, throw a donation over tonight and going into the next week, we would be more than appreciative, more than grateful, because this is what it's going to take to get it started. We are all personally investing our time, where none of us are getting paid. We could promise you that, but we're in the throes of getting this set up to do it correctly. And as we move, JJ's told us all of the bells and whistles and all the T's and I's that have to be dotted so we do this right, and we are, but we want to do it strategically, and we need your help on all levels. Volunteer and the donate button. Again, can we show that one more time where that is on the new website? Yeah, it's really easy, and we will keep you updated, and we are looking forward to these questions. And last thing I'll say, if you will please let us know what you thought about tonight, what you enjoy, what you wanted more of in the comments. We pay attention to that. It is important. We're going to be doing this every week until California is free.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Josh. On that note, let's get started on some questions. So, Serena, with our debt ceiling so high and $100,000 debt per person ratio, how much debt will California keep when we separate?
That's all subject to negotiation. There'll be a very, very complex negotiation before we actually achieve full sovereignty. In all likelihood, what will happen is after we get the consent, we become an autonomous region. While we're in that status, negotiation takes place not only as to how much of the existing debt California will be required to assume or be willing to assume, but also what happens to the military bases that are in California? What happens to the federal land that's in California? How much does California have to pay in compensation for that land? Or do we want to continue to lease the bases to the United States? Because again, the first phone call that would come in after California becomes sovereign as the fourth largest nation in the world, fourth largest economy in the world, the first call will come in from NATO. And California will be welcomed into NATO with open arms. So it could be that those military bases would remain and would be leased out to our NATO partner, the United States of America, if we're able to work that out. But the debt ceiling and the existing debt, it's all part of that same negotiation. What will the continuing rights of California's Social Security recipients to be after California becomes sovereign? Will there be dual citizenship? How will that work out? Those are all matters that get negotiated after we're successful in achieving sovereign status. So right now, our principal concern is getting the Blue Ribbon Commission impaneled, getting the report back, moving forward, having a team sent to Washington, begin that process of negotiating our way out. And then once we're out, we'll have a year or thereabouts, however long it takes, to resolve all of those other elements of the complex negotiation.
Thank you for that, JJ. Yes, please.
Real quick. So I always defer to JJ. One of the things we tell people is America's debt ratio is one of the worst in the world, and it's getting worse. And independent California will have less debt than America does right now. So if you're worried about your debt ceiling and how much debt you're taking, it's going to be less than you have now as a U.S. citizen. That's the answer. So it gets better because America's doing so horrible at that. Also, for all of you guys' questions about Constitution and stuff, and we're going to answer them, and we got good ones. This is why we're saying a resolution for the panel. The Blue Ribbon Panel brings experts together. It forms an official government investigation where you have the top constitutional scholars, federal agents, lawyers, etc., giving you the best answer. So the whole point is not to just say yes, it's let's have that investigation by experts who can give the best possible answer to all the questions you guys are asking.
Next, what about the ballot initiative? Are we collecting signatures?
Yes, we are collecting signatures, and we're always going to keep doing that. And we're always going to keep doing that. It was great. The issue was that for the last 12 years, we thought the only way to achieve CalExit was the ballot initiative, because we thought no politician would back this until after the ballot initiative qualified and there was a lot of public support. In the last 4 months, particularly under JJ's leadership, we've really rethought that. We've started to think you can go to politicians now directly, that they saw artillery shells and Marines and invasions and a president saying, I don't follow the Constitution. We really began to shift our opinion. There's a magazine called The Atlantic Magazine that is the top policy magazine in America. And they literally said a month ago that Californians asking what's in it for them is a reasonable question. So when the top policy magazine, read by all the top professors and all the top politicians in all of America, says Californians can't have a discussion about independence because it doesn't make sense why they're part of the USA, this is a rational conversation.
Sorry, I'm on mute. Thank you for that. And here's another one I think is worth reiterating. I'm still not understanding how we're going to convince the red states to give up the piggy bank. This is a really important question.
I'll take that one.
Yep.
When California becomes sovereign, and when 52 Democratic congressmen leave the Congress and come back to California, the remaining United States will never have a Democratic majority in the Congress again. And the red states, believe me, are far more concerned with force feeding the balance of their Christian nationalist agenda down the throats of whatever's left of America than they are concerned about the cash that would come out of their pocket. In the case of Trump, the man despises California. The man controls his base. He controls the Congress. There are 29 state delegations right now that are controlled by Republicans. We only need 26. It's not Republicans that are damaged by California's departure. Republicans get it's Christmas morning for the Republicans the day California becomes sovereign.
Again, I always defer to JJ. That's it. We're going to give them their dream, right? Trump would be able to say, I can guarantee Republican elections far into the future. If you recall Trump when he first got elected the first time, he was saying, I'm going to be the savior. I can get abortion overturned. He doesn't say it now because it's really pissed people off. But initially, he was saying, I'm the guy. I'm the only one who can do it. You have always wanted abortion overturned, and I'm the savior. And he saw himself as a savior figure, and he could do it. So I know that one's a little bit less popular now, but this is who he is. He sees himself as a savior. He sees himself as, I'm the only guy. I'm the daddy who could fix the problems you can't. We're literally giving him the win and deal of a lifetime. You can permanently ensure Republican victories forever. He'll be a god to them. Secondly, when people are going, why would the Republicans let us go because of the money? What makes you think they know we're a donor state? I have this debate with many, many, many people. I'm just going to show you something real quick. Oh, what's that? That's an article from the LA Times talking about how the Republicans had a meeting in Congress where they said they subsidized California. And the LA Times was so shocked that Republicans in Congress, the entire party, could get together and say, actually, California's not a donor state. We subsidize California. That's completely not true. But they literally said it in Congress. And Trump didn't contradict them, and no other Republicans did. So why do we think Republicans think we're a donor state when they literally say the opposite in an official capacity in Washington, and nobody says anything? The other thing I always ask people is, can you name that Republican who said California is a donor state? I live in Fresno. It's purple. They don't know. They literally, all they talk about is we're full of illegals and we give transgender surgeries to our kids. They never hear about how we subsidize 35 states. They only hear about how we're not good with money. So if I told you for 30 years, you're bad at money, you're bad at money, you're bad at money, and I never even one day in 3 decades say, you gave me $100. How do we think they know that we're a donor state instead of believing their own hyped up hate? Secondly, what about the healthcare bill? Some of the biggest voters for Trump were the people who were the most dependent on healthcare. They screwed themselves financially. Now, why did they do that? Because they'd rather stick it to libs. So they don't know we're a donor state, and hate is an operational virtue for them that can oversee everything. And I just showed you hard evidence. I also want to show you this one real quick. Boom, there's the Atlantic magazine. California should be able to ask what's in it for them. That is the top policy magazine in America, saying a discussion about independence is rational in California.
Thank you for those, Marcus. I know we're running short on time, so I will combine a couple questions. There have been some questions about what Governor Newsom knows, what his position is.
Yes.
And please educate us on that.
I can tell you that Newsom is well aware of what it is that we're doing. He's in a precarious position, though, as a politician. He wants to be president of the United States. He's wanted to be president since he was 15. So he's not going to put himself in a position where he says, I want to be your president. By the way, I want California to leave. It's an inconsistency that can't be managed by any politician anywhere. So Newsom is aware. He's kind of made his choice when he was 15 about where he wanted to be right now. But they are well aware of what it is that we're doing. They certainly don't publicly oppose us, but they can't publicly support us and still seek the presidency of the United States. That's simple.
We're working with someone named Kathleen Harmon. So if you type in Kathleen Harmon, mother of the Democrats, or Kathleen Harmon, San Diego Democrat, when Kamala Harris came to California, she had to go see Kathleen Harmon first. Dr. Harmon, she also goes by Mother Harmon, based out of San Diego. She personally met Newsom and told him about this, and we have photos. So we know for a fact that he knows. But I also point this out. Newsom slammed CalExit in 2017. I'd encourage everybody to look up the video. Gavin Newsom criticizes CalExit 2017. You can watch how he says he doesn't want to abandon Americans to a group of 45 Californians, and not one of them clap, smile, or support his statement in any manner. It's on PBS. He had no backing. What happened in 2022? He called California a nation state while saying, I'm not going to follow federal orders, and I'm operating like an independent country and using our independent country status to go buy goods for ourselves from China, and maybe we'll give it to America. So you go from, I could never abandon America, to California's a nation state. I'm willing to ignore the federal government. I'm willing to break off with other states, and I'm willing to say that we're a nation state and we'll do whatever the hell we want. What's that mean? What do you think that means?
Good question, Marcus. Yeah, there are a lot of questions, but I think we have a path to answers. And so I see we're not going to be able to answer all these questions about the water supply, questions about what other obstacles there are. I would say send us those questions, or if we can, we will email you back, but there's a lot of information out there. We will be continuing to put information on our website. If you can come to San Francisco this weekend, or get in touch with us via the volunteer exit or through the website. But we're happy to address these questions, and we do have answers. Not all of them we will know the information right away, but we will do our best to get to you. So I will leave that. I will end the Q&A there.
We have answers for everything. We may not have time because we want to make this a succinct meeting, but we have literally answers for every single question you have. There's nothing you could ask that we don't have answers for. So I saw some of you mention the Constitution, the legality, the military, the dollar, the water. We have all of it. Email us. We have a 5-page policy manual, and then we have a 4-hour policy discussion we can send you on top of being able to answer them later. But we won't do it here. Thank you.
Yes, thank you everybody for hanging in. We're a little over time, but we just wanted to be able to provide as much information. I mean, we know there's so much it can be an overload, so we always want to be here as a resource. Use the volunteer at calexit.now for any of your questions, any of your inquiries about being involved as a volunteer. Again, tonight, our main objective is to inform you and equip you and get you further involved, because we need participation. This cannot be a spectator sport. This is about participation. So we will be sending out not only an email about joining us this weekend at the Democratic Convention in the Bay Area, but also each week you will get a new email about what's happening on these calls on Wednesday or Thursday evenings. And we'll be doing this until we are at level by level closer to a sovereign, free California. Again, visit our new website. Everybody say it with me, calexit.now, calexit.now. We are the real thing, the original. And we just want to encourage you to continue to show up, because it will take all of us. And I think as a Californian, you know that, and that it is not only a privilege, but is a responsibility, because we live here and we have the resources right now to not only save us, to not only save the rest of the country, but also the world. We thank you guys and look forward to next time. Thanks so much. Be blessed and have a safe week.